Good morning, Van Wert. This is our last week of school, so we got to finish strong. We've got some big things you're going to be doing today that will become very helpful next year when I have you again. This is section 9.5. We are factoring and solving quadratics. The first thing we need to learn is what's called the zero product property. And it says that if A times B equals 0, we multiply two things together and we get 0, that either the first thing A has to be 0 or the second thing B has to be 0, which kind of makes sense. Okay, so what that looks like with what we're going to be doing is if you have two quantities, x plus 3 times x minus 4, and it's those two things multiplied together to give you 0. The directions are going to be to solve, to find the answers, what makes it turn to 0. So you take each of these, x plus 3, set it equal to 0, subtract 3 from both sides, you get x equals negative 3, x minus 4 equals 0, add 4 to both sides, x equals 4. So our solutions, our zeros, are negative 3 or positive 4. And we can check that by plugging our negative 3 back into the original. If we had negative 3 plus 3, we have 0. And negative 3 minus 4 gives me negative 7. 0 times negative 7 gives me 0. If we plug it into the other one, it would be 4 plus 3, because we said our other 0 was 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 minus 4 gives me 0. 7 times 0 gives me 0. So those two things are what make our two quantities turn to 0. Okay, our next terminology for the day are factors. This is not a new one. You did these in elementary school. Factors are what you multiply together to get a given number. So for example, if we said, what are the factors of 25? You might say they're 1 and 25 because 1 times 25 gives me 25. Or someone else might say 5 times 5 because 5 times 5 gives me 25. So the factors of 25 are 1 and 25 or 5 and 5. We are going to be factoring quadratics with a leading coefficient of 1. That means your number of x squareds is going to be 1. Now sometimes they won't put that 1 there. If there's no number in front of the x squareds, how many x squareds do we have? We have 1. So it's going to be 1x squared plus bx plus c. Whatever number is in front of your plain old x term is called your b, and whatever your constant is called your c. Okay? Just a little bit of information for reference before we start. Okay, so our first problem that we're working on is, it says factoring when the leading coefficient is 1. So our problem is 1x squared plus 11x plus 18. And again, they may not put that 1 in front of it. So x squared plus 11x plus 18. So this is x squared plus bx. The number of x's is your b. The constant is your c. So in our problem, our b is 11 and our c is 18. We are looking for the factors of our c term, which is 18, what multiplies together to give me 18, that adds to give me my b term, which is 11. So we are looking for the factors of 18 that add up to 11. And what I want to see on your paper when you do these for homework is I want you to list all of your factors. Now, I did these in kind of goofy order. 1 and 18 are the farthest apart, and those are probably not the factors I'm ever going to start with, but I listed those first just because that's usually what pops into your brain first. So 1 and 18 multiply together to give me 18. 2 times 9 gives me 18. 3 times 6 gives me 18. So these are the factors of 18. Now we got to see what they add together to. So if I add my 1 plus my 18, I get 19. If I add my 2 plus my 9, I get 11. If I add my 3 plus my 6, I get 9. And I'm looking for the factors of 18 that add up to 11. So we know that our factors are 2 and 9. So it becomes x plus 2 times x plus 9. So here's the cool thing with these guys. You're going to be able to check them every single time by doing FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times 9 gives me 9x. 2 times x gives me 2x. 9x and 2x gives me my 11x. And my last 2 times 9 gives me 18. That's why we spent so much time working on FOIL before we got to these. You're going to be checking every single time to make sure your answers are right. Next problem, a squared plus 7a plus 10. My leading coefficient is 1. My B term is 7. My C term is 5. So we are looking, or excuse me, C term is 10. So we are looking for the factors of our C term, which is 10, that add up to our B term, which is 7. So when we list our factors of 10, 1 times 10, 2 times 5, those are the things that multiply to give me my C term, my 10. And then when we add those, 1 plus 10 gives me 11. 2 plus 5 gives me 7. We're looking for it to give me 7. So these are my factors. So it becomes A plus 2 times the quantity A plus 5. Again, you're going to check your answers by FOIL to make sure they're right. First, A times A gives me my A squared. Outer, A times 5 gives me 5A. Inner, 2 times A gives me 2A. My 5A and my 2A get me my 7A that I'm looking for. And last, 5 times 2 gives me my 10. So we have factored that one correctly. Next problem. Now, you can pause this and try these in practice to make sure you're doing them right. Guys, this is real important that you learn to do. You've seen this before, but some of you haven't been real good at it in the past. X squared plus 3x plus 2. My leading coefficient is 1, so we're looking for the factors of our C term 2 that add up to our B term 3. Factors of 2 that add up to 3. So the only things that multiply together to give me 2 are 2 and 1. So those are our factors, x plus 2, x plus 1. And again, we're going to check it by FOIL. First, x times x gives me x squared. Outer, x times 1 gives me 1x. Inner, 2 times x gives me 2x. 1x and 2x gives me my 3x I'm looking for. And 2 times 1 gives me 2. And we got another one here for us. T squared plus 9t plus 14. We're looking for the factors of 14 that add up to our 9. Factors of C that add up to our B. So when we list our factors of 14, we have 1 and 14, 2 and 7. When you add 1 and 14, you get 15. That one doesn't work. 2 and 7 you add together to get you 9. That's what we're trying to get. So you're going to make it t plus 2 and t plus 7. We're going to check our work by FOIL. T times t is t squared. T times 7 is 7t. 2 times t is 2t, so we have 7t and 2t, which is our 9t. And 2 times 7 is 14. So that one's the way that factors. Okay, some more examples. Now our C term is going to be negative. This puts a little bit of a different spin on it. We're still looking for the factors of our C term, negative 15, that add up to our B term, which is positive 2. So what multiplies together to give me negative 15? It could be negative 15 and 1. It could be 15 and negative 1. It could be 3 and negative 5. It could be negative 3 and 5. Those are the things that multiply across to give us the 15. And when you add those, negative 15 and 1 is negative 14. 15 and negative 1 is positive 14. 3 and negative 5 is negative 2. Negative 3 and 5 is positive 2. And we're looking for positive 2 for our B term. So our factors are negative 3 and 5. So it's going to be y minus 3, y plus 5. We're going to check to make sure we're right. Y times y is y squared. Y times 5 is 5y. Negative 3 times y is negative 3y. So we have 5y and a negative 3y. That gets me my 2y. Last term, negative 3 times 5 gives me my negative 15. Okay, another one. This one has a positive last term but a negative middle term. So we're still looking for the factors of 3 that add up to negative 4. So what multiplies together to give me 3? 3 and 1, negative 3 and negative 1. So 3 plus 1 gives me 4. Negative 3 plus negative 1 gives me negative 4. So we want it to be negative 4. Factors of 3 that add up to negative 4. So that makes it x minus 3, x minus 1. Again, you're going to check by FOIL. X squared minus 1x minus 3x. So minus 1x minus 3x gives me my minus 4x. And then plus 3 for your last term. A couple more to go here. M squared plus m minus 20. We're looking for the factors of negative 20 that add up to, there is no coefficient here. When there's no coefficient here, that's like a 1. So we're looking for the factors of negative 20 that add up to 1. So we could have had a negative 10 and a 2, negative 20 and a 1, a 20 and a negative 1, a 4 and a negative 5, a negative 4 and a 5, a 10 and a negative 2. And when you add across to see which of these factors, which of these things that multiply to give me negative 20 gives me positive 1, it's negative 4 and 5. So that gives you m minus 4 and m plus 5. Again, you're going to check by FOIL when you get done with each of these, and I want to see the check of FOIL on your paper. Okay, last two problems are going to be putting the two things that we've been working on here together. Remember, we said solve means find the zeros, apply your zero product property. Okay, so we have x squared plus 3x equals 18. Step 1 is you're going to get everything to the left. So we are going to move this 18 to the left by subtracting 18 from both sides. Now our problem becomes x squared plus 3x minus 18 equals 0. So we're looking for the factors of c. We're looking for the factors of negative 18 that add up to positive 3. And it could be 9 and negative 2. It could be negative 9 and 2. It could have been 6 and negative 3. It could have been negative 6 and 3. It could have been 1 and negative 18. It could have been negative 1 and positive 18. This set of numbers is probably the last ones I'm going to try. So if you say, oh my gosh, that's so much work, Mrs. Deutsch, don't start with those. Start with the ones that are closer together. Okay, when we add across, that gives me 7. That gives me negative 7. Those two factors added together give me 3. We're looking for them to give you 3. So our factors are x plus 6 because it's a positive 6 and x minus 3 because that's a negative 3. So we have x minus 6 and x plus 6, x minus 3. We're going to check it to make sure we're right. X squared minus 3x plus 6x. A minus 3x and a plus 6x give me my 3x I'm looking for and my minus 18. So we got everything to one side. We just factored it, and now we're going to solve it by applying your zero product property. So you're going to take your x plus 6, set it equal to 0, subtract 6 from both sides, x is equal to negative 6. X minus 3 equals 0, add 3 to both sides, x equals positive 3. So you've taken everything to one side, you've factored it, and then you solved it, and then you're done. Last problem. X squared minus 2x equals 24. We're going to bring that 24 to the left side where everything else is. So now we have x squared minus 2x minus 24 equals 0. Our leading coefficient is 1. So we're looking for the factors of our c term, our negative 24, that add up to negative 2. And we've got a whole great big long list of them here. Negative 24 and 1, 24 and negative 1, 12 and negative 2, negative 12 and 2, 3 and negative 8, negative 3 and 8, 6 and 4, 4 and negative 6. I will tell you that if I'm doing these myself, I'm starting with the numbers that are closest together, not the ones that are farther apart. So I probably am not starting with those ones up there, so let's start at the bottom. If we add our 4 and our negative 6, we get negative 2, and lo and behold, we're looking for negative 2. So I've shown you how I've checked them all. Make sure you take the time to show the work so we can see where you went wrong. List all your factors, show your adding of the factors to see which pair works. So we know that it's x plus 4 and x minus 6 equals 0. So first we got everything to one side, then we factored it. Now we're going to solve it by finding the zeros, set each of our things equal to 0. X plus 4 equals 0, subtract 4 from both sides, x equals negative 4. X minus 6 equals 0, add 6 to both sides, x equals positive 6. Hey guys, we have 3 assignments left, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're done Friday, so let's see if we can work hard, get things done, finish strong. We're almost there.